Jai Hind, this is Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, wishing all of you a very happy and prosperous 2023. The topic that we are going to talk today is how will we counter China in the year 2023. As far as year 2022 is concerned, we have countered China well. On 9th of December 2022, there were the incidents in Yangtse when Chinese tried to carry out an intrusion in our area in Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang, Yangtse. However, nearly 50 to 60 Chinese soldiers were caught and they were thrashed quite badly. Now, important issue is how exactly will China behave in the year 2023 and how should we counter this war by China. I have always mentioned that China is scared of carrying out any physical war with India. However, what it will do will be to carry out a hybrid war, carry out a grey zone warfare, or carry out a multi-domain warfare, which simply means it will use overt means or covert means. It will use physical means as well as virtual means. It will use all kinds, it will open up all kinds of front against India and for that matter the whole world, and will try and stop our economic progress or retard our economic progress. So let us see in a very quick way as to what will China do. First, let's talk about the physical domain that is on the Indo-China border. As far as China is concerned, it will try to unilaterally alter the status of the line of actual control by their famous tactics called as the salami slicing, and it will try and create incidences like Yangtse in the area where it suits us. Secondly, it will also use our neighborhood, especially Pakistan, Nepal, Myanmar and Bangladesh, to create trouble for India. Already there was a news that Nepal wants to have a railway line from Tibet coming to Nepal. This is not a very good news from the point of view of India. So how should we react here? Obviously, we should keep a good surveillance over the area and counter Chinese whenever they carry out intrusions. Now, what will happen in the Indo-Pacific Ocean or in the sea? Chinese activity in Indian Ocean as well as Indo-Pacific will increase. That should not worry us too much, but what is of some use to us is Chinese spy ships, Chinese vessels with electromagnetic warfare capability will come and try and monitor our activity of our space-based activity or our maritime activity. Also, they will try and establish or improve bases in all the neighboring countries, that is Hambantota in Sri Lanka, Gwadar in Pakistan, in Myanmar, etc. Now, what will they do as far as the air is concerned? Once or twice there were reports that the PLA Air Force was flying very close to the borders, but they are using their Air Force in a big way against Taiwan. Will they carry out air intrusions into our airspace? That looks unlikely as it stands now, but definitely we will be told that there is an exercise of the PLA Air Force going on there. Their strategic forces, or also called as SFF, has moved into the area. They will share videos of their missiles carrying out firing drill. Basically, they will carry out a psychological warfare in the air domain. But this would not scare India. But the most important space where they will carry out problems is the cyber space or the cyber war. One would remember that some time back they carried out hacking in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and for nearly 2 weeks plus the All India Institute of Medical Sciences could not work. There was also a news that they had tried to hack one of our economic websites. This is exactly what they will do in the days to come, and they will try and demonstrate capability to let's say paralyze our economic grids, paralyze our various internet grids in various domains. How should we do it? We should, of course, how should we protect ourselves? We should have strong cyber defenses, but we should also have the capability of carrying out a surgical strike in the cyber domain. Now, what will happen in the space domain? China is carrying out lot of research, lot of activities in the space. They will send their satellites. They will try and show that they have, let's say, dismantled they have hit a satellite with their space-based weapons, etc. They will also carry out surveillance of our satellites. We have to be ready for these activities. In the electromagnetic spectrum, or call it the big data spectrum, what will China do? Even today, the Chinese, lot of Chinese electronic devices are being used by Indians. By this, they carry out a theft of the data of the Indians. Lot of Indians are still using Chinese smartphones, Chinese mobiles, Chinese, let's say, electronic devices like laptops, notebook, etc. This is a very clear-cut intrusion of data which China will try and steal from India, from Indians. So what we have to do is, all Indians have to ensure that we do not buy, we do not use Chinese smartphones, we do not use Chinese laptops, we do not use any electronic device which is made in China. Not only made in China, but if it's been manufactured under license anywhere else in the world, they should not be used, because they will try and steal data of Indians so that they can carry out a predictive analysis by which they can decide as to how Indians will behave in a particular situation. So we must boycott all the Chinese goods. There should be no doubt at all on this particular issue. The next issue is China will carry out economic subversion of our economy. As it stands today, the balance of payment is very heavily in towards China. So China will ensure that we continue to remain dependent on imports from China. Our corporate world is so much used to the Chinese cheap goods that they think they cannot survive without China. So, for example, if China stops sending semiconductor chips, China stops sending electronic devices, China stops sending API which is used to manufacture medicines, Indian industry will have a tough time. So therefore, China will keep on threatening us, and unfortunately, despite our best effort, we have not been able to reduce our dependence on China. Instead of reducing the dependence, our dependence on Chinese imports has only increased. So in nutshell, China will carry out what is called as the multi-domain operations, which will be either be conventional or unconventional in nature. It will be carried out either by China or by the Chinese Communist Party or by Chinese citizens, or using criminal gangs from many places. They will use both their hard power and soft power and try and create situations by which they'll keep on putting pressure on India. So therefore, we have to be ready to fight the Chinese in all the multi-domain wars. The next issue is the nuclear domain. China will keep on publicizing how its strength is increasing, thereby expecting India to get scared, but we should not. We have the capability of second strike, and also we have now recently changed our policy from no first use and saying that we could use it any time. The next issue pertains to the public opinion, also called as information warfare, also called as propaganda warfare, also called as perception management, also called as the influence operations. China will misuse various forms of media, that is the social media. China will use the electronic media, that is the TV channels, both in English, in regional languages, and in Hindi. China will use the radio. China will use the newspapers, again in regional languages as well as other languages, to change our opinion. There are adequate number of Chinese agents in our country. They will write articles against India, against India's national interest, not only in our print India, not only will talk on our TV channels, but will also write articles against India in various international newspapers, especially the ones that are published from Europe or from America. So we also have to use what is called as our counter narrative warfare. This is very important, because if we don't, then we are going to suffer, and there will be a section of people in our country who will feel that Chinese have an upper hand. For example, when China carries out a psychological war by using information domain, it is basically against three people. One, against the government, Indian government. Indian government is not too bothered about Chinese such tactics. It has no effect on our policy making. It will try and affect information warfare domain of the Indian army. But Indian army is strong enough, and they are not too much worried about all this psychological warfare which China does. However, in the public opinion domain, there are good people who feel that China has an upper hand. We need to tell them again and again and again, China cannot do anything to us. While they'll keep on carrying out these kind of operations, but we are more than capable of taking care of our public opinions. The next issue is the legal warfare domain. Now what will China do is, China will publish some papers, China will publish some books, China will try and tell the world that area which is a disputed area historically belong to China, and therefore claim it completely. We need to be proactive and also carry out our counter narrative warfare. The next issue is energy. As far we are 85% dependent on energy, and so are the Chinese. So therefore China will not let us explore for energy near the Chinese. For example, we wanted to carry out oil exploration in Vietnam's sea, but China stopped us from doing it. Similarly, China will try and stop us if we try and buy energy in a big way, either with the Arabian countries or other countries, but in this they have not succeeded too much presently, because the Chinese economy is going down the drain. It is slowing down, while the Indian economy is improving. Economic subversion I have already spoken about. Now I'll talk about the political domain. In the political domain, China will ensure that the next Dalai Lama is chosen, and he'll be one whom China favors. It will also try and dominate governments in the neighboring countries. Not only that, it will put pressure on Bhutan to go away, to not be on the Indian side but go away. It will also use many other domains, and it will basically try and create rift in our political parties. They will infiltrate into our media, they will infiltrate into our political parties, they will infiltrate into our trade unions, they will want to infiltrate in our various NGOs. The basic aim of all these activities is to ensure that they dominate us in various activities, and thereby try and tell the Indians that Indians are not doing well. Okay. Now, as far as the next issue is, it is the diplomacy. As far as diplomatic field is concerned, China will stop us at every United Nations forum. For example, we wanted to nominate Hafiz Saeed and the other terrorist leader as world terrorist, but China stopped from doing it. But China will not let us go in what is called as the nuclear supply group. China will not let us become a member of United Nations Security Council. China will try and raise issues with various world bodies and try and spoil India's name. So we have to be very, very proactive. We have to be very, very proactive at diplomatic level and ensure that most of the world comes towards our side. We have a great opportunity in the year 2023 when India is going to be a president of the G group of countries, and there are going to be nearly 200 to 250 meetings that are going to take place in our country spread all over. So this is a good occasion to show to the world our hard power, show to the world our soft power, and tell them as to how big a country India is. So therefore China will continue to create problems for us in various domains, but we have to ensure that we counter them every day. As far as the multi-domain war is concerned, it will continue 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We really have to be on our toes, and the nearest issue in which China is going to create problem not only for India but for the rest of the world is what is called as corona, or what is called as COVID-19, or what is called as Chinese virus. The Chinese virus is started in a big way in China. There are very serious problems that are going on. Now the Chinese have been told they can go out in the rest of the world. So Chinese will travel all over and spread corona or COVID-19 or Chinese virus all over. We have to ensure that China is not allowed to do this with respect to India. Because if this corona thing starts again, it will have a damaging effect on our economy. So China's multi-domain war is going to come is going to be there in a going to continue in a big way in 2023. But the most important issue is in 2022 we have defended ourselves very well in the various public domains, but the defense is not adequate. There are limits as far as defense is concerned. What we need to do is create an offensive capability in the cyber domain, offensive capability in the information domain, and offensive capability in all the domains, so that we can answer China tit for tat. China will continue to help Pakistan. China will continue to fuel insurgency in the northeast. China will continue to help the Maoists in the central part of the India, who are called as Nakshals, or who are called as left-wing terrorists, or who are called as left-wing extremists. So therefore, the multi-domain war is going to continue in the year 2023, and we have no option but to be proactive in this war to win this war against China. I'll stop here. Thank you. Jai Hind.